This team can play with almost anyone in the country. They have proven that through 2 games in this Vegas Players Era Challenge. That's the good news. They can be competitive with anyone, whether it's Houston last night or whether it's Kansas late this afternoon into the evening. Syracuse basketball can be competitive with some of the best teams in the country. Why are they competitive with some of these top teams? It's because they give maximum effort and display a ton of defensive intensity. They are swarming on defense, and they're athletic, and they're long, and they're mean, and they're physical. All qualities that I think we can all get behind. That's the good with Syracuse basketball. They can be competitive with anyone due to their play style. They're mean, they're physical, hard-nosed on defense, and everyone buys in. But they're going to have a lot of trouble winning these games. And that includes today, and that includes on Monday night against Houston, because this team through 6 games has shown us that they cannot shoot the basketball. They can't shoot. It's how they constructed their team. They wanted to become more athletic, and they are certainly more athletic. They can run up and down the floor, and they can play good defense. Problem is that it came at the expense of shooting. There's not a single player on this team that you can rely on to shoot the basketball from any distance. Not one. And because of that, Syracuse basketball, due to their play style, did have a chance to win. They fell behind early. There was maybe a little bit of a letdown. Maybe it was a little bit of a slog coming out of the gate, especially last night, going up against a team that does everything that Syracuse does, but just better in Houston. And so they fall behind by 13 in the first half. And to Syracuse's credit, they don't quit. They don't. See, I'm optimistic there. It's good that they don't quit and they battle. And there were so many moments over the course of the second half where you were just waiting for Syracuse to hit that shot. You know, that shot that really can get them back in the game. There were several moments where Syracuse would cut it within 5, and then they would have an open 3. Nate Kingz from the corner. Where have you been all season from three-point land? And he would miss a 3. And then Kansas would go down the other end, and they would hit a 3 of their own. And so there was a ton of these 6-point swings, 4-point swings, missed opportunities throughout the second half. But finally, with around 6 minutes left in the game, Tyler Betsy, from nearly the exact same spot he hit the game-tying shot against Houston on Monday night, hits a 3 with about 6 minutes remaining to put Syracuse within 2 points. They were right there against Kansas, a team that didn't have Darryn Peterson, who's going to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. I get that Syracuse didn't have Donnie Freeman, but Kansas didn't have Darryn Peterson. So there's no Donnie Freeman excuse here for Syracuse. I don't want to hear it. Because Kansas is shorthanded too. They're also without their best player. And so Syracuse, they're going toe-to-toe. They're proving that they belong in this tournament. They're right there with this team. You got to find a way to win these games. You have to. We all know the goal of this team is to make the NCAA tournament. And so when you're down 13 in the first half and you somehow scratch and claw to get within 2 points with 6 minutes remaining, you have to win. You have to find a way. You have to make that extra stop, which Syracuse on the next defensive possession, they got the stop, but could not get the rebound. And so Kansas got a couple of second chance points. And then J.J. Starling calls his own number, and he was doing this throughout the game, calling his own number, going to the basket. And unlike last year, where for the most part, when he would call his own number and go to the basket, I understand it was a bad Syracuse team, but when he would call his own number last year and go to the basket, he was making a lot of shots. He was really good at driving the basketball and converting it into points because he averaged nearly 18 points a game last year. This year, I don't know what happened. Because every time he calls his own number and goes to the basket, unless you want to count garbage time when Syracuse is trying to pull off a miracle, he can't make a shot. And what makes it worse is that the killer of this game is on JJ Starling. And I tweeted on Locked On Syracuse at LO_Syracuse that after this play that I'm about to describe, they needed to bench JJ Starling. But the alternative, I'll get to Kiyan Anthony in a moment, he wasn't much better either in this game. Actually, he was worse in this game. We'll get to that in the next segment, though. JJ Starling just gets burnt on defense by Trey White, commits a soft foul. Of course, Trey White lays it in and one. And so in the blink of an eye, Syracuse gets within 2 points, and then all of a sudden, they're down 7. Then you have William Kyle. I really like William Kyle. I really do. He does so many great things for this team. He provides them energy. He's the best defender on the team. He might win ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He is an absolute menace. But he can't shoot free throws. And college basketball is not changing the rules anytime soon. Kansas, whether it was intentionally or not, started playing a little bit of hack-a-shack. Twice in the span of about a minute, with Syracuse in the bonus, they foul William Kyle. And William Kyle, both times on a front end of a 1-and-1, misses. He misses it because he can't shoot free throws. And so Syracuse, from 2 points down, and in a few minutes, they're down 13 and the game's over. Tough loss for this team. Because it's hard to get on a team that you can tell is legitimately giving it their all. I'm not questioning the effort of this team. It's there. They play great defense. They're swarming them. But they just can't make the big plays. They couldn't all game long. The best way to describe this game is that Syracuse was just chucking up bricks the whole game, and Kansas was supplying everything for Syracuse because you had Syracuse who couldn't make a shot, and Kansas was turning it over. I'm sure if you were a Kansas fan that's maybe watching or listening to this podcast right now, first of all, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on being 2-0 in this tournament. I'm sure Kansas fans were going nuts because they couldn't take care of the ball. And for all the good that Trey White had in the game, at the end, he took an ill-advised 3 when you need a bleed clock. He took a 5-second violation when the team had 2 timeouts. He should have called timeout earlier. Kansas was gifting Syracuse opportunities to steal this game. And Syracuse said, nah, we're all good. We're just going to chuck up another 3 that won't go in.